This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
Welcome back, everybody. Love what she does in that she helps people move their lives forward through wellness coaching, but she blends astrology with that. And astrology is a science, and there's a lot of things that can be revealed. Apparently, we're going to reveal some about me today. She's done a little homework on me as an example of how this works, even in the starting point. Nancy Volante joins us on the program. How are you today?
Thank you, Steve. I'm doing well after our new moon yesterday in Cancer. And just I want to say right after that that I appreciate that you said that astrology is a science because it really is a science. It's got a lot of math in it. It's got geometry. It's got the understanding of astronomy in it, and it's also an art. And I think it's really beautiful when we can blend science and art together, something that the ancients did thousands and thousands of years ago, and we've separated it now, right? This is here, this is there. And then they use the word blending. I think that is just, it's really important for the soul to understand that blending and those two aspects of our brain.
As our
Appreciate
professional of
that.
the year in this category, I just want to bring to the forefront that a lot of the stuff that we talk about, even if you tap into holistic healing, wellness, and all of that, this is the stuff they were doing hundreds, thousands of years ago. It's not like, oh, we just made this up. Oh, have a new pill, take this. No, this is what they did. This was medicine back in the day. And yes, to your point, astrology is scientifically proven, the principles and all of that. I want to go back before we get into my chart that
Okay.
I believe that you've done or a piece of it.
Yeah, no,
Um,
I have.
what interests you about astrology in the beginning? What pulled you in? What drew you in?
Yeah, that's such a great question. Um, the first thing I'm going to say, though, it is in my chart that, not that I have to do it, but being in Aquarius and the way a little bit of the configuration of my chart shows that astrology would be something that myself, my soul, would be interested in. And I mentioned in the last week that, I really got pulled in with my mother's best friend, Lois, who was an astrologer. So, I was like 15, 16, and I would just sit at the kitchen table and watch her, and it was fascinating to me.
Hmm.
First and foremost, because I love the human condition, and I think, I've been always intrigued by that and intrigued by, what is the meaning of things and how does that integrate into a person's, soul, mind, and spirit. So I've always been interested in that, and the astrology as a tool fascinates me because I love astronomy. I love looking up, um, and I love the expansion of the energy that, we think that we are the center of the universe. We're a micro of the macro. I don't know if we're the center, but we're certainly part of.
Hmm.
And and I love that. So I just love the archetypes. I love the symbols. I love the way that the chart actually moves. Being coming from the dance world and the theater world, when you look at a chart, in the middle of a chart, the chart is like it's like a circle with 12 sections that are like cut into pie sections, quarter. And then in the middle of it, you see all this geometry, these lines, and it creates, for me, a dance, a movement of map,
Hmm.
somebody's map of who they are, because that will never change. What changes is the conversation between the planets that are aspecting right now. And we'll go over a couple of those. Like for instance, with your chart, Steve, yesterday, the new moon was really speaking to you in a really powerful way.
Speak to me.
So, yeah, speak to you. So we'll get into it from there. And the first thing I want to say, where I like to start when I'm, having a conversation about somebody's blueprint, and I do want to mention it's sacred space. For me, I come to this work knowing that I'm coming into somebody's sacred space. The moment that I'm not quite sure if the chart is, conceived or when I guess when you're born, yeah, but it might be all of it. But I take that as very sacred. So I come to it with a sense of mindfulness and consciousness. And really feeling that you can ask me anything or you can interject or you can say, that doesn't really feel good or that resonates. So from there, I like to start with the ascendant or the rising sign, which is where the sun was rising when you were born, just like this, and they cut the umbilical cord. That's why the time is so important.
Mm.
And for you, Steve, and it's because you shared this with me, but now that I saw it, your rising, and you might know this, is Gemini.
I've heard that, but as I said before, this is where I get lost. The
Okay.
house, all of that. And
Yeah.
I love metaphysics, but I don't know why I just can't absorb this. It's just, I rely on those like you. Uh, and by the
Yeah.
way, for everybody, I gave you my date of birth, my time of birth, and location, just for anybody that
Yes.
doesn't know what's needed to
Thank you.
generate a chart.
Yeah. Yeah. So time of birth, location,
Hmm.
year. And if you don't have the time of birth, we still can do it. It might be a little bit off, but we put the time in as 12 o'clock p.m.
Okay.
Okay. So you are a Gemini, and isn't that because you shared with me last week that you're a twin?
Yes.
And Gemini is the archetype of the twin,
Oh, that's right. I never even thought of that. Duh.
right? And it's right on your horizon. I mean on your ascendant. And Gemini is the twin in many levels. Physically, it is about our siblings. And Steve is a twin. How lucky he can always male or female, your
Paternal
twin.
female.
Are you identical?
Say
Ah,
that again.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. So you are fraternal or identical?
Fraternal. Yeah, I have a twin sister.
Twin sister, yeah. But how great is that? Because Geminis are because they have that sense of duality in life. There's always some kind of mirroring going on, right? Because it's the sign of duality. It's the sign of both sides of the coin. We don't just look at one with Gemini, but we look at the other. And so for Steve, he not only does that internally, but he can also do that with his sister, his sibling, how they can mirror each other. And for them, it's yin and yang. So they get
Hmm.
the sacred feminine and the sacred masculine. It's very cool. So with that said, Steve, the ruler of your chart, so the rulers are the planets, is Mercury. And what a great profession you're in. Gemini is all about communication. It's about radio. It's about sound waves.
Hmm.
It's about how do we communicate through our voice? How are we curious about ideas? And how do we get those ideas across through communication? And of course, you want to do that with people. Also, Geminis are writers. Do you like to write, Steve?
When I'm in the mood, I'm in that
When you're in the
zone.
mood?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so the ruler of your chart is Mercury. So Mercury is the planet of how do we learn? How do we process information on all levels? Writing, learning, communicating through our voice, communicating through symbols, any kind of communication is Mercury and how we process that and how we learn. So your whole chart, not your whole chart, but the essence of your chart, Steve, is really about communicating through ideas, communicating through community, and understanding how we can maybe bring that duality of our differences and our commonalities in a way that you're doing that in within your neighborhood, within your city. That's Gemini. The opposite of Gemini, which every sign has a polarity. So, and that's where the science comes in, that just is so beautiful how everything is balanced. Even though we can have a crisis or we can have this and that, it's still balanced. So, Steve, your rising sign, Gemini, is balanced with the archetype of Sagittarius, ruled by Jupiter. So there is an expansion, Jupiter, that also is about you. So Sagittarius takes the idea of communicating to a more expansive level of the world, international, culturally. What are our commonalities within our differences? So for you, Gemini on the rising, your rising sign, your polarity, that's the first house. And this is for everybody. The rising sign will always be at the first house. The polarity is the seventh house. Now, the seventh house is about relationships. And there's where your Sagittarius sits. So, so Steve, you're always looking for somebody that is going to expand your ideas and curiosity about the meaning of life, the meaning of being human, and the meaning of being in a relationship. So that was a big
Yes.
mouthful.
But I got you. But I got you. And
So I'm going to ask, yeah, how
you
did that resonate with you?
that did, and I find that in my journey of discovery of myself and all of this metaphysical, all of those things, that those modalities out there to help move our lives forward. I'm finding that I'm deeper than I ever thought I was, but I'm also finding that there aren't a lot of people that I run into that run deep and I can connect with on that level. That's all good. There's nothing wrong with that. But that's where I'm at right now.
That's really beautiful. And it sounds like you're on an exploration
In a way, yes.
of be of wanting something deeper, because this is where I would go next if I was having a full conversation about your chart. I would go to your midheaven. Okay, so your midheaven, which is called the MC, sits at the very top of the chart, as if you were at the top of the mountain, looking down at the whole vision of you. And you have Pisces at your midheaven, which Pisces is very spiritual, right? It's a very spiritual archetype. It's about the divine, it's about unity, it's about
Mm.
faith, it's about the whole shebang. And and um and it's about artistic endeavors, music, poetry, how you are artistically what you are, because you are artistically communicating with
Well,
people through your voice.
even deeper than that, when I was younger, I came that close to becoming a syndicated cartoonist and had always wanted to do that and wanted to do radio. And when I was in my upper teens, I got a job in radio and it was a big job and I stayed for it many decades. And a couple of years after that, I just let the art thing fall back because was already doing the other goal and just stuck with it. But yeah, I love art. I love graphics, cartooning, and all of that.
And that's really part of your soul that eventually you can really bring into your life, into your radio. I mean, you really um let me just see, because I wrote something here. Yeah, okay, you have a straightforward attitude about life.
Yeah, it's true.
and that is, I don't want to backtrack too much. I just want to say that because of you said, you're deeper. You seem to be very clear on what you wanted to do, and you do it because from that Pisces that sits at your top, that you're always going to be looking for a deeper understanding of what you do on a spiritual level. And, you can possibly help people do that as well. I mean, you're helping me do that, right? You're helping me get my communication out, and I do something that is, well-being, spiritual,
Sure.
also practical. I like to be practical. Um, so your Pisces is on your midheaven, the MC. The polarity to that archetype is Virgo. So that Virgo, which sits on the bottom of your chart. Okay, so that's your foundation. The fourth house is the foundation. And that's what we call the descendant. I don't want to get too much because I want you to stay and I want the
Hmm.
audience to understand practicality of it. So Pisces and Virgo. Pisces sits at the top of your chart, Virgo sits at the bottom. So you could think of it as Virgo is your foundation, which is where your sun is. Your sun is in Virgo in the fourth house. Yeah, a strong foundation with your sun. Your sun is your vitality, your sole purpose. So that Pisces can draw on your practicality, your attention to detail,
Mm,
how, and how you organize things with your work ethics. And that's
yep.
really beautiful. So
It's true.
you're never going to be you're never going to be woo woo. You can really go out there and understand the metaphysical side of it, but you're always going to come back down and say, I'm going to organize this in a way that I can really communicate it through the details.
I don't want to agree with you just to agree, but I do. And that's what I feel. My function is to take all of this and kind of scale it back and make it clear for people. And one word that I piloted by in the last year and a couple of months, and you can ask anybody around me, the word, and I say it to them, clarity.
Clarity.
Clarity. We need clarity. And that, I mean, in everything. And it's certainly in different situations. I'm in a men's group, been there for about a year. And this is kind of what we do in community service, leadership, and all of that. But also, we talk about ourselves and we support each other. And a year ago, when I first joined, I'm like, this organization doesn't have clarity. What are we doing here? Let's get laser this in. Let's figure this out. And that's how I roll. Making things easy for others to understand.
That is so beautiful and such a great way to have your sun in Virgo in the fourth house, that foundation. And also, I'm going to use one other word. I'm going to use the word conjunction. So your sun in Virgo is conjunct Pluto in Virgo. Okay, so I put oh, they can't see, but so conjunction is when two planets are on top of one another. They're blending together. They're blending all the attributes, all the characteristics together. And in your case,
Mm,
Steve, it's very powerful because it's Pluto in Virgo, conjunct your sun in Virgo, right opposite that Pisces. So your sun, so in evolutionary astrology, that's a certain style. They would look at one's Pluto first. So wherever Pluto is in one's chart is where you're going to endure the most transformation in your life, the most change. How do you alchemize the energy to make it very high consciousness, a high spiritual? And sometimes we have to go into the darkness of the shadow side of ourselves, which are the gifts. To bring that through, you can do that because you have the sun there really shining down on that and helping you. That's really
mm.
beautiful. And because Pisces is at the top of your chart, you bring it down to reality.
Well,
You bring this, yeah. And that's like That's really great. The fourth house is very important for you, Steve, because you have a stellium, which is you have three archetypes together, which is Libra. I won't go into it too much. Your moon is in the fourth house in Libra. Your sun is in Virgo in the fourth house. Your Pluto is there, and your Mercury. Communication, transformation, vitality, all around relationships. How do you walk through your relationships, home, family, ancestry, creating an emotional foundation through the roots of who you are? And that fourth house with that Virgo becomes practical, earthy. So, you're not afraid of your emotions at all. You're going to
Mm.
go into them. And how do I balance these? Because I need them to be balanced in order to figure out what the details are so I can communicate clearly, if that makes
Spot on.
sense.
And for anybody that, may say, well, she knows what you do and she's reading into it. This is already Mercury communication, right? Established a long time ago when it comes to astrology. That's already there. It's not like you just made that. You read my chart. That is based on my date of birth, et cetera, et cetera. Just about out of time. Fascinating. What do you see for the future in 30 seconds? Looking at that, and you're not a fortune teller. This is not what you do. But is there
No,
anything that
no.
stands out in just in any area?
So not, I won't use the word future, but I'll use the word maybe a cycle that's coming up for you. So transiting Jupiter in Cancer is in your first house, blending with your Mars in Cancer. This is a really good time for you. You can expand your identity through your emotional, intuitive, caring person that you are and self-care, but there's a wise understanding that you can do within, because Jupiter will be in Cancer for about a year.
Mm.
So Jupiter is wise, it's truthful, it's authentic, and it's in Cancer. Home, belonging, self, and you can expand your identity through action,
Honestly,
Mars.
honestly, and I'm always transparent, that's what I'm working
Yeah,
on in many different areas. But
yeah,
that explain, and you said one word, intuition, which I've amped up within myself and starting to use it and not ignore it or test it, like just go with it. And you just said that. Fascinating. This is just a piece, a tiny piece of what you offer when you work with
tiny.
somebody. Yeah, and it's a valuable tool that you can use to really get a read on somebody and help direct them in certain areas, or maybe pull them back from maybe something they might be doing, career wise, relationship wise, that doesn't really support them based on astrology. Super cool.
Absolutely, absolutely, Steve, absolutely.
And all part of wellness coaching blended with astrology. How do we find you? Somebody's got questions. They just want to connect with you. I don't know if you also just do chart readings. Throw that out there too. How do we find you?
Well, I'll tell you first how you find me. So you can go to my website, which is thewhisperingsoul.net. You can go to my Instagram, which is the Whispering Soul Astrology. You could email me at Nancy at thewhisperingsoul.net. And my number is 203-770-8938. And, I use all my tools of movement, many years of movement and understanding the body, mind, spirit connection, astrology, and the wellness coaching. And I meet you where you're at. And then we can develop,
I love it.
because I'm there to hold space.
I
Yeah,
love the way you blend this all together. And yes, wellness coaches, there are others, and that's all good. But taking this valuable, insightful information through the science known as astrology, I just feel like it's just another tool in the arsenal, to help move somebody's life forward. And it answers those questions, and even
absolutely.
even even your purpose in life. Am I doing my purpose? Somebody, you might look at a chart and say, you know what, you might want to look at this over here as you coach somebody through their journey. It's really cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, love it.
Well
Um,
said, Steve. I appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate you and thank you for doing my chart. It in many ways validates what's on my mind
Yeah,
and the direction that I'm
absolutely.
personally heading in. Um, and again, I'm not just yesing you because we're here together. It's the truth. And
I know.
and you're not just making it up because these things have been long established, like the Mercury being communication and some of the other things you mentioned.
Absolutely.
Fascinating.
There's definitely a structure. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then within that structure, you start to dance and move.
love it. Thank you
And
so
really,
much.
my whole thing, yeah, is to empower you and the people.
I appreciate it and I feel empowered based on the information you just gave me because I feel like I'm kind of on the right path in many different
Yeah.
areas. Mm.
Awesome.
Looking forward next time we get together.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.